Hello, welcome back to Dear Source, Your Ascendancy Hotline. And today I'm excited to just be back in the normal routine. Thank you for all those that watched my special episode dedicated to my daughter yesterday, celebration of her 17th birthday. And today we are going to tackle, I think, something that many of us, especially in the United States, but probably around the world, feel, depending on the socioeconomic as well as the political climate going on in our wherever we may reside. So let's get right into it. This letter reads, "Dear Source, I feel like the weight of the world is crushing me lately. Wherever I turn, the political climate feels so intense. It's exhausting trying to navigate all the negativity. Sorry, I can't read very well. My apologies. Social media, conversations with friends, even family dinners, it all feels like one big argument waiting to happen. I believe that everyone has a right to their own opinion, and I really want to respect that. But it feels like we've forgotten how to disagree without tearing each other apart. It's gotten to the point where I'm finding it hard to stay in relationship with certain friends. The constant friction is overwhelming, and I'm beginning to withdraw because I can't take the hostility. It feels like we're losing our humanity, and that leaves me feeling sad, anxious, and even depressed. I want to be in a space where I can hold my values while allowing others to do the same without the same sense of hatred and division. How can I find peace in all of this? How can I stay true to myself, allowing space for others' beliefs and navigate this difficult energy without sinking deeper into stress or despair? I want to approach life with compassion, but right now it feels almost impossible. Sincerely, Lost in the Divide." So, what a poignant question. And I think so relevant, like you said, especially for us in the United States. I think we're nearing the next presidential election. And oftentimes I think here it feels like we're always in a presidential election. We're always in a dogfight, and just in a constant cycle. So with that being said, where would God, Source, the Universe, Divine weigh in on this? And I think there's a multitude of principles for us to remember. And the first thing that I feel called to share is that we have to remember the universal principle of oneness, the law of one, that there's only one of us here. There's only one energy here. And with that being said, when we understand who we are and our divinity, which I think some of this, all of this is a test for us to see through and for us to remember the divine beings that we are. And when we get caught up in this negativity, or get caught up in what's going on, we're actually most likely sitting in a place of ego, in sitting in a place of the separate self. And when we're in that energy, which I talk a lot about, the ego is essentially our own energy working against us. It's the illusion of the separate self. It's the piece of you that thinks that you know more than God, Source, the Universe, Divine in relationship to actual divinity. And so I think there's a huge opportunity with this current climate to really remember who we are. Like, this is our opportunity to go, okay, what is really going on here? What's actually truly taking place? Why am I feeling this? Because if we remember that there's only one of us here, as well as we are the creators of our own reality, our own universe, that's also telling us that if we feel chaotic internally, that's what's being mirrored back to us externally. So, all of this is a lesson for each and every one of us to do the individual soul work. There's no external force or power that's outside of us. There's only one energy here, there's only one of us here. And when we remember that there's only one of us here, that we are all the ocean and all these other things are just waves in the ocean, to remind us that we are the ocean, we then can step into our true divine power. So, like, if you think about all of the universe is divinely orchestrated, it's just like the human body, which I talk a lot about because I want people to remember and know how divine you are. The human body has natural intelligence beyond anything that we can't even wrap our minds around. All the things that are going on to make me talk and move my head and all the things aren't things I have to think about. They're just naturally occurring. My cells are reproducing and naturally reoccurring, and not, my brain isn't having to go, okay, this one cell, because we have trillions of cells, you have to replicate now. All of this is happening with the natural intelligence that drives the universe as well. So what's happening right now is by perfect design. It's also part of the collective karma, the collective lessons that we're here to learn. And are we willing to learn the right lesson that's being presented to us, which is remembering that we are source, we are divine, and we are here to act in cooperation with every other divine being that is incarnate on this planet. We are here to essentially live, as almost all the spiritual teachings teach us, but to live like Christ, to understand that you are the divine and that you're here to treat everyone else as divine. We are here to love our brother as ourself. We are here to see their divinity within them. And that's why this is taking place. Like, it feels so crunchy, uncomfortable, because we're not in natural alignment with the way that we are supposed to be operating as a human species in relationship with everyone and everything else. And so when I think about this beautiful letter that was written of like how intense it is, it's like, how do you take a step back and understand who you really are, that you are God, source, the universe, divine, incarnate in that body in order to experience the divine. And when we're having these negative or other than stellar experiences, that's because we're out of alignment with the true nature of who we are supposed to be. And can we look at every other human being as that divine source? And when we start to really apply this principle, and it's not easy, yet it is very simple, we can then see every other human being at the highest point of consciousness they're at in any given moment. And can we extend love and genuine understanding to say, oh, that's a divine emanation of God, just like I'm a divine emanation of God, and how they view things is not who they are. Like when we're over attached with our opinions, our viewpoints, etc., and not just in this state of oneness, we are in our ego. We're in separation consciousness. So we're over identified with the way that we feel. And when we're over identified with our own self and our own opinions, we then are not in right relationship with every other individual and seeing them as an emanation of ourselves as well as a child of God. And when we are in that state, we create division, and we're also creating judgment and separation. And when we choose to, let's say, judge somebody because of their viewpoint or their lens based on their highest point of consciousness in any given moment, all we're going to receive back is judgment of ourselves. So then what happens is we intensify and we ratchet up our ego of our stance on where we're at, and we're just raising the volume of intensity that we feel on this planet versus acknowledging every person as a child of God. And we may or may not personally know some of these people running for office. A lot of it we actually don't know. We're being told stuff, but yet we're judging based on what we have been told. And we're also just downright judging, which keeps us in separation. So can we look at every person as a child of God? That doesn't mean I have to agree with them. I can just acknowledge that wherever they're at in any given moment, that's the highest expression that they have to offer in that moment, and that I can be divine love back and remove all the charge, remove all the judgment. Because when you are judging others or triggered by somebody other than ourselves, like could be a political figure, it could be our parent, our child, our spouse, whomever, that's an internal compass for us to look at ourselves and say, where am I out of alignment? It's that when somebody is causing you angst and anxiety internally, that's because there's something where you're not in full acceptance of that. And you're typically holding judgment against yourself. And so if you can look at somebody else and go, why am I so reactive to that? What about them is causing me to feel X? And can I look at them and can I look at what I just identified and walk through? Is that something I don't like typically about myself? And can I actually fall in love with that piece of myself, forgive that piece of myself? If there's a piece of judgment that maybe where it's like, I really screwed that up, and that's why I, have such a visceral reaction when people say something about that. Like there's an opportunity to integrate and fall in love with that piece of ourselves and to bring that into our wholeness. Anytime we feel wounded or triggered, that's an opportunity for us to really go within and look and see what part of me is triggered by that, and how do I stop judging that, and how do I start loving that piece of myself? How do I bring that piece of myself into me so that I am whole and complete and loving every aspect of me. So when we think about what's the work that we're here to do, the work we're here to do is our work. It's to work through what we're going through individually. There's no mass, like tell everybody what to do. And we think that that's going to essentially solve the problem. How healing works within our universe is when I find access to the healing, that gives somebody else access to the healing. And when we shine our lights in true authenticity of ourselves and love every aspect of ourselves, we then get to give access to everybody else by just being who we are. So we don't actually have to say or do anything. It's what energy do we hold? So if we think about, the letter that I wrote at the beginning, how do you hold the energy of your highest state of being nothing but love in all of those settings and not reacting to what those people are saying when you are feeling triggered, looking within yourself to go, okay, what in me is really bothered by that? Like, why do I feel that dissonance in me? Because that's why we have the emotions that we have, is to remind us that we're, especially I don't like the word negative, but the less positive emotions, the sadness, fear, anger, when we're in those vibrations, those are lower energy vibrations. And so when we're in those are just a GPS for our soul to go, you're not in alignment with the truth of who you are. The truth of who you are is that you are divine, pure love, and that's who you are. You're not bothered by anything else. The essence of who you are is an emanation of God. Your DNA spells you're God eternal within the body. So if you can hold that frequency, you're at the highest frequency, you're giving everybody else around you access to access that same frequency because that's what you're holding. And you can also then point them to, like, oh, if you're feeling anger, frustration, fear, whatever triggered inside within yourself, that's an opportunity to look within and go, okay, where is that coming from? And when you kind of root cause and pinpoint and spend some time with it, where is that coming from? That's a part of you that you want to integrate and love and bring into yourself. Because we're here to just be the authentic expression of our soul's divine, unique blueprint that each one of us has. So all we're here to do is to tap in to that frequency. And when we're in that, in a state of knowingness of who we are, in a state of unconditional love, because we're adhering to the law of one, we then give access to everybody else to do the same, because that's the most authentic expression of yourself. Authenticity is not probably the way most of us think that it is, like, well, this is me and I get to say whatever I want. Absolutely not. We get to say stuff that doesn't hurt other people, but is a true expression of our soul. So if we're saying stuff out of anger or spite and it hurts somebody else, well, that isn't authenticity. So how can we start looking at everyone that we're interacting with from a space of unconditional love, that they are us? How can we look at the political candidates that are out there and see that they're a child of God? And however they're polarized, we don't need to judge them. God is already on it. Whether somebody's polarized negative or positive, it's not our job. We've kind of assigned, like, that's our ego's job to judge somebody. No, our job is to just be love. The universe is already on it. The universe is already on it. So your frequency is just to learn when you're not feeling in alignment. Why am I not feeling in alignment? What's being triggered within me? What's causing me to not be in my highest state of vibration? And really dig into that and learn from that and fall in love with that piece of you. Like, oh, yeah, I mean, I want everybody on this earth to be so happy, and that causes me fear. Well, that's something to love about yourself. Like, you care about all of humanity because you know who they are. You know what's going on here. So you want everybody to get along. Whatever that may be, every person is going to have something unique to themselves. And then you get to integrate and fall in love with that piece. And then you just have to go be and shine your light. We're just here to be. So you get to go be love. You get to go be that and hold that frequency in any and all of your spaces, even on social media, because in that state of beingness, you're also going to start to create boundaries. And you're going to start to have people potentially naturally go, gosh, I feel so uncomfortable being around that person, because you're holding such a high vibration and you don't even have to say or do anything. So this time right now on the planet is an opportunity for each and every one of us to understand that this is about us learning about ourselves. This is about us learning about our divinity. It's about stepping into a new density of consciousness, to move into Christ-like consciousness, to move into unconditional love, killing our ego essentially, and really stepping into our divinity. That's why this is occurring right now. That's the gift. That's the lesson. There's nothing more that we need to do other than use these gifts to grow ourselves and to return us back to the divine being in which we are. So if you have more questions about that, you want to talk about that, maybe I didn't do a great job of explaining it, but please comment, DM me, reach out. I'd love to spend time with you. And if you ever want a free one-on-one session with me, the link is in the description box below, as well as I have more exciting news coming with the Ascendancy Collective and the spiritual community I'm building to help heal you body, mind, and soul, with some of the best coaches, where we can just individually work on becoming the best versions of ourselves, because as we do that, we're going to heal the planet. So I will share more of that. It's getting fleshed out right now, but I want to start teasing it. But in the meantime, please book with me. Please continue to write in, comment, like, and share, because you guys are what makes this show what it is. So I appreciate each and every one of you. I send you a lot of love and light, and I will see you guys tomorrow.